I sometimes wonder if only there were a secret ingredient, some way to get my students to focus. What would that be?
Before starting, I have to create the necessary documents. I make the document appealing by inserting images. To do this, I right-click on a word and select the research option. Now I can select images from the menu and simply drag the image I wish onto my document without ever leaving the document itself. What I like most about this feature is that it will cite the picture for you at the bottom of the page. This is especially useful with younger students who do not know how to properly cite yet. Next, I create a folder for all the documents pertaining to this project. After selecting each document, I can move them into my new folder. Also, I can now share this folder with my colleagues and also my students by simply adding their email address to the bottom. I am changing the sharing settings to public so that it's easily viewable without permission. You'll know that this is shared because there is a person icon and it says shared to the right of the folder. I can also share this folder by copying the share link and then sending the link to someone as well. Each student will be their own architecture firm. They will be competing to win the vote of a client that they interview. For this project, they have to come up with a firm name and a logo. This is one example. After students have spent time learning about perimeter, area, and calculating large numbers with decimals, they will have an opportunity to put their knowledge to the test. The students will interview a client who is looking to build or buy a home. They will first listen as the client explains a little bit about themselves. This is important so that each student gets a good sense of who the client is and what they may or may not like. Then the client will explain in detail what their desires are for a home. From the number of rooms to the layout of the kitchen to the color of paint on the walls, not a single detail is left out. Students will take turns asking clarifying questions of the client. The protocol for asking questions is that they introduce themselves by giving their name and then the architecture firm that they are representing. This gives the entire process more of an official feel. As students are asking questions, they are taking notes on their iPad on the client information sheet that has been shared with them. With busy schedules as they are, the Google Plus Hangout allows students the opportunity to set up a few interview sessions with the client throughout the project. This opens up doors to interviewing clients who may not even live in the same city, state, or country. Part of this process will require students to create two-dimensional models of the house plans for their client. They will draw these on their iPads. Another benefit to having the iPads is that students can access their Google Drive at any time. The documents that were shared with them prior to this were all the things that they needed to know to complete the project. Some of these items included how to use the proper icons for labeling things like doors and windows and sinks and toilets. Other things in the packet included a refresher on how to calculate and find area. Some other things that the students have access to in the shared folder from earlier are Google Forms, for example. This form was created so that the student can constantly contact the client. In this form, they can write which architecture firm they're representing and any questions that they might have for the client. The client has been given access to the spreadsheet that shows all of the students' questions. At their leisure, they can type in the answer to some of these student questions. Having access to the client and also access to the answers to their students' questions, students are better able to prepare blueprints that really meet the needs of what their client wishes. What's great about the iPads is that they're mobile. Our classroom floors have 1 by 1 foot squares, so the students are able to actually take the iPads out to the hall to get accurate measurements. Having access to technology has really revolutionized this project. Here, students are logging into their Google Drive, and they are using the floor planner, which is an add-on to the Create button. students are able to actually draw the walls of their house as they had envisioned it earlier. They can add furniture, they can add different appliances, landscaping, whatever they could imagine. So basically their two-dimensional drawings that were just in their head before are now coming to life. They can hide or they could show the different measurements, and this just gives them a more professional look to their blueprints. Up until now, this project has seemed like all fun and games. Where's the math, you might say? Well, students will be expected to find the area of their house. They will also be expected to calculate the cost of the house based on the cost per square foot in the area they are building. Next, they will use IKEA catalogs on their iPad to actually decorate the house for the client. After they've chosen all of the different pieces of furniture, appliances, paint, etc., they will have to add up the total cost of all the decoration. Then they will have to present this to the client as part of their plan. Finally, whether the iPad is hardwired or streamed over the air, the students will need to present their final blueprints to the client. Using the iPad, students are able to connect to their floor plans on their Google Drive accounts. In years past, students have only envisioned their floor plans as two-dimensional. They had to try to imagine what it might actually look like in real life. For many of the students, that was very difficult. However, with the use of the iPad, the students' ideas can come to life. 2D models instantly become three-dimensional and completely change how the student sees their plans. Mistakes in their two-dimensional plans are quickly evident. Students can go back and start fresh on some of their ideas, or they can add to ideas that were really great. For example, in this model, I can see that there was no door added to get to the laundry room. So the student would then go back and make that minor adjustment. What's nice about the 3D floor plans is that the student can actually manipulate the model and twist and turn it to show the client the area that they are addressing. If the client has any questions about this model, the student can actually turn the house to that area and explain their answers to the client. This 3D model is a completely new twist on the project, and one that I think really brings meaning and life to the student's experience. At the end of the presentations, the client will award the student who most closely met all of their needs. Access to tablets has allowed my students the opportunity to communicate with the outside world through Google Hangouts, through forums and collaboration on Google Drive, and it has also allowed my students to see math in a whole new way. Instead of just paper and pencil, they're able to use the tablets to bring math to life, to make their two-dimensional plans suddenly three-dimensional. Having access to these devices truly is amazing.